There we go. All right then. Hello, good evening, good afternoon, or everyone, or evening, morning, wherever you are, wherever you're listening. Welcome to another episode of the Blaque Falcon podcast. Um, it's been a bit of a push to kind of just keep these podcasts going because obviously everyone around me, and obviously I'm sure you guys as well are going through your challenges as well around these weird, annoying times. But you know what? I'm going to keep on pushing this because it's keeping me focused, and I'm glad that you guys are sticking with us despite all that's happening, man. I know that you guys are getting all the value from the content that we're putting out, and you know what? It's all good fun because I like learning about other people and their stories and how they're pushing through. To know that I know I'm not the only one who's pushing through hurdles, and I like to keep people around me who have who have a similar ethos, a similar work ethic to kind of keep pushing with what they believe in. So which then leads me on to my new special guest. She goes by the name of Nadina Azara Edward Knight. I call her the Knight Rider because it sounds cool. And I used to watch Knight Rider with my grandmother back in the day, and I'm a big fan of the Dark Knight. And if I was to change my name, or if I was to pass away and to reincarnate myself into anyone, I would like to be called Alexander Knight or something Knight or Bruce Wayne or something like that. I just like the name Knight, man. It's a cool name. Anyway, introduce yourself, Nadina. Do your thing.
Yeah, so I'm Nadina Knight. Obviously, we've connected through fitness, which I think is such a great way for so many people to connect. I've met people of all walks of life through it, and that's what brought me to meet you. So this is great that we get to connect in these crazy times on your podcast. So thanks for asking
That's
me.
it. Yeah, man. I mean, this is also about trying to get people to kind of showcase their talents as well, because everyone's talented in their own way. Some people are more, what's the word, introverted, extroverted about showing off about who they are. And I just thought, you know what, I mean, a few podcasts ago, in fact, the very first one, I got Charlotte in. And at first, when we first met, she was very, very shy about showcasing who she was. And I just thought, you know what, let's just record something and just put it out there and then you see what happens. And
Yeah.
because we got quite a good reception of it from everyone in our circle, I just thought, let's just keep doing it. Just keep getting people in who we're familiar with, who we're not so familiar with, and just keep it going, man. So, but that
Yeah.
was brilliant. So, yeah, thanks for joining us. So, obviously, we know who you are. So, what's like the history behind you then? What's, where you from then, family wise, and kind of where you grew up? Let's go into that then slowly.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Northampton in the Midlands. So exciting. But obviously my background, my mum's French Mauritian, so little island off the coast of Africa, for anyone who's not sure of it. It's beautiful. And my dad is like as old school Londoner as you can get. He's a bit,
What, mate? What, mate?
yeah, he's a bit of an East Ender, and he's a black cabbie. Like he's literally proper, like born and raised in the Sound of Bowville's Londoner. I moved to London about actually 10 years ago. 10 years ago this year, I moved to London to pursue my dreams, because this is where the people come to pursue the dreams.
That's
So
it. That's it.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely didn't hear any London accent from you though. I definitely, you went from London. I was thinking maybe West, but I knew people from West don't sound exactly like you, just a little bit similar. So I knew you would definitely weren't straight up London, London. But yeah, that's cool.
Funny thing
Northampton.
is, I don't have a Northampton accent either.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when I was younger, my mum insisted on sending me to like drama school and like speech lessons and elocution lessons. And I used to do acting for years when I was younger, but my mum was like set on me not having like an accent. She was like, I don't want you to have like a Midlands accent. I don't want you to have this. I just want you to sound well spoken.
Yeah.
So
That
as
sounds a
you
lot like
imagine,
my
when I go
father.
home and I'm dropping my T's, I get a sandal to the butt.
Yeah, that sounds like my father. My dad was very much into me going up every day after school, go straight to the library and pick up a book and read it because in his mind, and it worked, he had the right idea. In his mind, it was always about vocabulary and how you present yourself in front of employers, clients, whoever. So it's not so much to make you sound above anyone, because I don't know if you get that sometimes. I sometimes think, oh man, if I talk like this for too long, I might sound like I'm being like I'm.
Is that coming across like posh or anything?
Yeah. I mean, Americans love it, but over here, I'm always just a little bit cautious. Okay, no, I don't want to sound like I'm kind of too upper class or bougie or anything like that. I'm just
but it gives you like a good blank canvas. Like to have no accent, to be well spoken, just gives you a blank canvas. It means that when you meet someone, that's not even a part of their judgment of you. If there's no accent, they're not judging where you're from. They're not judging your upbringing based on an accent, because sadly, that's the world that we live in. Instead, they don't think about it because you don't have an accent, you don't have anything. So it's just blank canvas. I think it's good.
I tend to also find that with your accent and mine, I also find that it's easy to kind of infiltrate your way into different circles, because I know that when I'm with like different people, I tend to find that my accent changes a little bit, because I am still quite cognizant of slang. But I know that if I was to speak with, I know, some hedge fund manager in Chelsea, I know I can still communicate.
Like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a double-edged sword, because it also means if I go abroad, I pick up accents abroad as well.
Oh yeah, it's true. No, did I get that in Nigeria? No, I don't pick up the accent. I tend to pick up the language easier over there. Because it's hard to kind of cloak. I mean, even when I don't say anything, they still know that I'm not from there. They all know that I'm mixed race. So they kind of just think, oh, okay, he's not from around there, but his name, okay, yeah, he's definitely like one of us. So it's kind of, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, man. Yeah. Have you been to French Mauritius before?
Yeah, so I've been to Mauritius quite a few times. Actually, more so in my adult life, I think, than when I was a kid. As a kid, I went like when I was 1, doesn't count, don't remember it. Didn't go back again till I was like 11 with my dad. And that was kind of like a go and see the grandparents kind of time. And then I didn't return until I was in my early 20s. I actually won a competition and won a trip to Mauritius. It was like the best freebie ever, because I was like, go see my grandma.
Yeah.
And I actually got to go back to Mauritius for my great grandmother's 100th birthday. That's when the trip coincided. So she turned 100 whilst I was there. It was it's great. It's a beautiful island. It's really small.
Yeah.
Fun fact, it fits inside the M25. So it's that small. But I'd love to go back again soon once we're allowed.
Yeah, exactly. So education, obviously you did acting school and classes and all that. So where exactly did you go to school? Did you go to school in Northampton as well?
Yeah, I did. So I actually stayed in the same school from like basically junior school through to sixth form. So I feel quite lucky about that, just because I ended up with the same group of like core friends all the way through. And I didn't leave there. I didn't have to go somewhere else for college. And then I went from there to university. But I was very lucky. The school I went to is a school called Quinton House School. And it was amazing. Yeah, really good. And I learned languages. That was my main thing that I focused on there. So I did English, French, and German at GCSE and A level.
Wow. Can you still speak French and German then?
Yes, I speak French fluently because my mum speaks French Creole, so we speak that at home a lot. Or when you want to chat about someone that's in the room that you don't want them to know, I'll speak French Creole to her. And then German, I just don't really use it. It's difficult. Like on paper, I'm fluent, but I'm obviously not, because I've not used German in like 9 years.
Wow.
But I think like if I was working in Germany, I would slowly just pick it back up again. I love languages though.
Yeah, that's good. So with the acting then, because I know a few ways in which acting drama classes actually helped me out. How did studying acting kind of help you out in like your progression in life so far then?
Well, so I hated acting, which is really, really sad actually, because it turns out my teacher at the time, she was like, you're really good. But I was like, I have no passion in this. This is not something I enjoy doing. I'm doing it to tick boxes for my mum. But the public speaking part of it and the confidence that I gained from acting was the most important thing. I don't think I ever realized it was happening either, but obviously every exam that I did was in front of people. I had to speak in front of people. I'd have to get on stage. I'd have to give presentations. It was, whether you're being yourself, whether you're being acting as someone else, you're on a platform in front of people, even learning just how to project your voice. Like, all of those things were so important for me throughout my life, and they definitely stemmed from being in acting from a young age. So that's definitely something that now, if I have children, I'll want to put them into, even if it's, I don't know, musical theatre or drama school or Saturday school, something where they can learn to like have the confidence to speak in public, be able to like, I guess, express themselves in front of other people. I think it's really valuable.
And then kind of just gets them out of their shell, because that's what acting did for me. It kind of just, I just found it a lot easier to just express my personality, just a little bit more easier, just knowing that acting is just a mask that you can put on and off. You can argue that it's false, but at the same time it isn't, because I like to say you're just broadcasting a frequency for the world to know, but you're doing it without any fear anymore. You're kind of just saying, hey, look, the world's a stage, so I'm going to just treat it like that.
I mean, we can call it a mask, but then it is that. If you think about when you even go into a job interview, like the girl that I am in a job interview is not me, when I'm chatting to my friends. So I'm always putting a mask on. You're always conveying your best bits. It's like your highlight reel every time you meet someone. So I think that, acting's the same as that. But confidence, that was definitely what acting taught me. And that, I think, helped me when I then went to university, because it meant that I had the confidence to just go out and make friends. I didn't have any inhibitions. I wasn't scared about what people would think of me, because I'd already made a fool of myself on a stage all the time, and I wasn't scared. I think that's a big thing.
So tell us about the link between where you were after drama school to getting into events management then, because that's, I can deduce the link to it a little bit, because it's events, okay, acting, stage, event, theatre, okay, maybe, or I'm trying to connect the dots. So help me out here.
So it's a bit of a strange one. So I was meant to go to university to do music law. So I wanted to be an entertainment lawyer. But I loved singing, and my mum was a singer before. She had quite a good amount of success in France, but she got duped out of money, out of contracts, because she didn't understand. She wasn't savvy, basically, when it came to the business side of things. So she said to me, if you're going to pursue music at all, I will support you, but you need to be savvy. You need an education to back it up. I need to know that you know what you're going into. I don't want people to mess you about. So I was like, I'll become an entertainment lawyer. But actually, my love of performance took over before that. And I applied for music industry management instead, so that I could kind of be around creatives a bit more, with the idea of changing to a law course afterwards. So I would still do all of that. But then I went to university and I joined a girl band.
Wow.
Sorry, Mom. I never went and did my GDO law conversion course. When I graduated from university, I was still in the music industry, in and out of different girl bands, making my own music. But obviously that does not have an income. So I had to get into events to pay the bills. And at the time it was, kind of low fry, guest list girl at an event, to, hosting at an event, maybe, I don't know, even doing the cloakroom at an event. And then I just built my way up over, 7 years I spent working in the events industry. It started as just my income on the side, and then slowly it became music on the side, focus on events. I was a freelance, in freelance events for years, until I became an events producer, and then eventually joined Camden Town Brewery as their manager a couple of years back. That was my first full-time role in events, and that was because I decided I wanted to own a home, and they don't like the freelancers for the mortgage. So and then I'm really lucky to now be at ALR Music, which has kind of encompassed both loves in my life of being able to organize events, which I've done since I was a kid, even if it was fundraisers, and then being involved in music and being around creatives and musicians all the time.
That's amazing. So when you were in the band, then what were you then? Were you just a singer, or did you have an instrument to play?
No, yeah, we were. It was like a 5-part harmony group actually. That was in. So all of us were singers. Yeah, I loved it. I obviously have a really bassy voice, so I just do most of the bass harmonies, any lower harmonies within songs that we were doing. But I would never change my experience in girl bands for the world. I had the most amazing times. It took me to different parts of the world, and yeah. But childhood dream over. I suddenly had to focus on making money.
Reality,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. So, wow. Girl band. Okay, yeah, no, because obviously I'm just thinking Destiny's Child and SWV and all the R&B stuff.
Those are my
What was
that's the goal. That was the goal.
so? What was like the genre of music that you guys were doing? Then? Was it just mainly just pop or
Yeah,
R&B or
basically
stuff?
pop, but a lot of our harmonies were rooted in R&B. So, you know, we grew up listening to bands like Boys to Men and On Vogue, and the
Yeah,
harmonies were insane, like
yeah.
really like at the core of like R&B gospel harmonies. And we loved that. So we had a couple of girls who came from different music schools who were amazing at arrangements. So they would do all the arrangements, but all of our inspiration was drawn from that. But in terms of performance, we focused on pop because that's the industry we wanted to go into. It's where the money is, sadly. But it didn't happen, which I'm not mad about because I think I'm quite happy with where my life is now.
Yeah, exactly. So events management then, so you're doing it, you're getting into it, you understand the challenges, and what are the challenges that are in events management then? So every day, so okay, take away lockdown, take away all this COVID nonsense, what are like the usual hurdles that you have to go through in order to kind of just make sure that an event goes as smooth as you'd like it to go?
I mean,
Possible.
it's a fast-paced industry. That for me is like the biggest thing, and it's about, I think probably my biggest difficulty was always managing a fast-paced business, face-to-face client time, and making time for yourself without burning out. Like trying to do all those three things. You know, often you're doing your 8-hour day in the office, and then maybe you have an event in the evening, or maybe you're taking a client out in the evening, and then you're up again to be back in the office for the next day, and you'll do it again. Often there'll be 3 nights on the trot, and then maybe the weekend you've got 2 events. And it's like, I'm somebody who's like really driven. I love my work. I love working. So I want to be doing that. But then you also end up sacrificing your private life. You sacrifice your health. I think that's probably the biggest obstacle working in events for me, is learning when to say no without jeopardizing your career, without jeopardizing your health, all of those things, and not burning out. And then in terms of like actually getting an event to run well, for me is letting go of the reins. That for me is the most important thing. If you can be an incredible delegator,
Yeah.
your event will run smoothly. But I remember looking back to when I first started producing my own events, it was so difficult to let go because it's your vision. You know what you want. You're like, no, only I can do it. It's fine, I'll do it. Don't worry, I'll do that. And then you go around, you're doing the smallest things as well, like even preparing an event, you know, someone's folding a napkin, and you're like, that's not right, I'll do it. Why is the organizer of the event folding a napkin? Like, it's all about delegation. So
it took me a while to understand this in project management, in construction, and then eventually in fashion, that sometimes it's just best to just as you said quite rightly, just to let go and just be like, okay, no, you're probably better than me at laying that brick. How about you do that instead? And instead of me having to just get a tape measure out and just kind of make sure that it's at the right, no, that's not going to happen. No, let the experts do what they're going to do. And it is what it is. Just kind of just have trust and faith that they're going to get the job done as well as they can do it. So yeah, no, delegation it also takes a lot of stress away from you, because once you have that relationship with your teammates or people in your circle, then you kind of just know, okay, yeah, this person is good at this because I've seen them do it before. Okay, yeah, you go ahead and crack on. So
yeah, and the more trust you have in them, the more they excel at what they're doing.
Precisely. So I think I get the impression that it's your attitude towards yourself that actually makes you successful in events management, because as you said, it's fast paced, it's quick, everything goes sharp. You got to be awake and alert and as sharp as you can every day. is how much is, well, I guess I kind of know the answer to this, but for the audience, how much is your attitude? How much does your attitude play into the success of your events then, and for ALR music then? Because I think
I mean, it's
has to
everything.
be attitude.
With ALR music, it's actually slightly different for me. I've taken almost like a bit more of a back seat because I'm now a supplier rather than the organizer. So I'm working for ALR Music, who are providing the band. I still have to be on site, but now I'm running just the music aspect of an event, which is great for me because it means I'm constantly seeing other people's events come to life, and I'm bringing one part of it and curating that for them. So it's great for me because it's specialist. But I think your attitude is everything, especially when you're working with clients, because your attitude doesn't only carry you through that event, it carries you to the next time they want to book you. It carries you to their word of mouth. If your attitude is incredible, the way that you conduct yourself, arriving on time, you know, knowing what you're going into, like you're not winging it, you're like super savvy, you've got all the information up here. Yeah. Having all of that means that they go, oh my God, I had this event and I had this music company and they were insane. You have to have them because they were so organized. They came on time. The band knew what they were doing. I didn't even have to think about them. That's the biggest thing for me, is when you're working with a client, the client shouldn't have to think about you. They shouldn't be worried about you. You should just slot in. So I think attitude is everything, but it's the same across the board in life, isn't it?
Totally agree. So the only, with what's been going on so far, then how has it affected you? Well, first lockdown, and how have you kind of adapted to it?
It's been kind of sad actually, because obviously no events have happened. So my entire job for the last year has just been admin, you know, the bit that everyone hates. But it's just rescheduling and being compassionate. That's been my biggest thing. So I guess, again, when you're talking about attitude,
client care,
client care, even, you know, whether it's a woman getting married, an event organizer organizing a 60th birthday party, everybody has gone through something in this pandemic. And when they call you, if you're, you know, uptight because your business is struggling and you make it difficult for them, they will remember that when times go back. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing that I learned from the start, was everybody in this needs to be treated how I want to be treated when they call me. So, you know, it was maybe spending a little bit longer on the phone to a bride who is devastated because 3 weeks out from her wedding, she's having to postpone it 2 years. Or whether it's a family party that now isn't going ahead because like an older auntie has been diagnosed with COVID and, you know, they've had their difficulties. So I think this year has been really about balancing business and compassion. That's been the biggest learning curve, because I think actually life was getting too fast for everybody. Mm-hmm. We were at a point where we cared less about people and things were so disposable that now we've like completely flipped it on its head, and your relationships with clients are the most important. They're the ones that will carry us forward. So it's been just not my job basically for a year. I've not been doing my job, but I've been lucky enough to find other focuses that I've shifted to. So in the first lockdown, after the first 3 weeks where I thought this was all fun and games, and then after that I realized we're going to be in this for a little while, committed to a new PT, turned my focus to fitness, and you know, that's important. It gives you the endorphins, and those got me through.
Don't worry, man, we're going to get into fitness very soon. Don't worry, we're getting to my favorite bit. Okay, so client care. So how have you dealt with this is a question that I used to always get all the time when I was working. How have you dealt with a difficult client then? Just, you know, without naming like any names or anything like that. You know, I'm a client and I'm saying, Nadina, I want X, Y, Z, but really I mean ABC. How have you dealt that before in the past then? How have you kind of just been compassionate and be like, okay, this guy is a little bit, how do I deal with it?
An insane amount of patience. I think that's the most important thing, because there are times you just want to reply and just be like, go away. Like, you're asking me too many questions. This is ridiculous, but you can't do that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, often what I'll do is, if I'm finding the clients tricky on emails, I'll get them on the phone. Because often I think it's so easy to be a keyboard warrior, especially when someone's upset, they're venting, maybe they're on the run, they're in between things. get them on the phone, calm them down. The second they understand you as a person, they stop taking things that you're writing in an email out of context. They understand you more. And I think it goes both ways. And if it's someone who's tricky on the phone, often what I'll do is I'll ask for space. So I'll be like, oh, let me take those notes away. Let me work on a proposal for you and I'll come back. Because sometimes what it needs is space. If you go back really quick with responses, often they're not the right responses and it's too quick, and then they come back too quick and there's no time for anyone to really think about the situation. So I think patience and space with everything is really important with difficult clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I think you've kind of already answered this then. So what are the aspects about your role that you just love the most? So, okay, speaking, getting client satisfaction, that's kind of like what everyone wants. But what is like the few things that you just love the most about events management then?
Specifically where I am now, I love being around music every day of the week. That for me is just, that was my lifelong dream. And I think I realized that quite early on, that I didn't need to be on a stage performing to fulfill myself musically, which I guess I'm quite lucky with, because a lot of musicians would be like, no, unless I'm performing on stage, you know, even if it's in my local pub, I'm not happy. For me, actually, I found it really lonely to be on stage if I wasn't in a band. Being in a band is tough. So then I was like, actually, how else can I satisfy myself in music? And just being around music and seeing musicians and watching them create and being a part of it is enough for me. So I think that's probably my favorite thing.
Was it live music that you just love the most, and just seeing a band perform the live with the drums, guitars, all of that?
Yeah, definitely. Really, like honestly, we're so lucky with ALR Music. We do the scheduling for the London Arts Club. So we provide all of the music there, and I get to go down there like 3 times a week most of the time to take clients down to see bands. So I'm seeing live music constantly. And I think that's probably what I've struggled most with in this past year, is not being around live music. In fact, the last gig that I went to was the day that Boris suggested bars should maybe shut. It was before he locked down the country. It was like the Monday, the 16th of March last year. And I went and saw Tori Kelly at the Roundhouse in Camden. And I'd say like a third of the people who had booked tickets turned up. So it was like a super intimate gig. And at the time, I remember a lot of people saying, you shouldn't be going, what are you doing? And I thought I would really regret it. And I don't regret it, because I don't know when music's going to return in that respect again.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm grateful for that.
All right. So you clearly take pride in your health and wellness. We see it in all your posts and your stories and all that then. So how do you set your fitness goals then? What's like the thing for you then, in terms of, because I've seen your before and after pictures, because obviously you made loads of progress from last year. So that's amazing. That's incredible. So what's like the mindset in terms of you setting your fitness goals and wellness? Because I know I kind of just went from events management straight to fitness now, but I know that's something that me and you have like a strong common interest in. So what's like your pathway in terms of thinking about, okay, I want this, so how am I going to get this, in terms of your...
So I've always had quite an up and down journey with fitness, because my biggest issue is food. I love food. I have a really sweet tooth. And so if I could manage diet better, I probably would need to focus less on my fitness. But it's been quite an up and down journey for me. At times where I've been on the extreme of being so focused on fitness and not having the knowledge behind it, maybe not actually working out in the most efficient ways, you know, like running too much and it's not actually doing anything. I'm just getting super skinny and gaunt. And I've gone through all of that journey. And now finally, I think my fitness goals are no longer about a number. They're no longer about a dress size. They're about my feelings. And if my head is, you know, if my head is cloudy, I'm not feeling good, that for me is, I need to focus on my fitness. And last year I did want to lose weight. I wanted to get back in shape. I knew that my fitness had gone on the back burner. And I'm just a big believer of, if you don't like something, change it. And so I found this amazing PT that loads of people have been talking about in our circle, even Francis Diet. And I just contacted him and was like, hey, train me. I had no idea there was a waiting list. Yeah, literally. And he came back and was like, yeah, sure. It was such like here's the email, you know, because I guess that from experience, there's plenty of people that go, oh, I really want to change, and then they don't do the work. So I think he was very used to people coming to him, and he didn't almost want to invest in a conversation with me until he knew I was serious.
For real,
And
yeah.
a few weeks in, I think he knew that. And actually, I'm grateful for the relationship that I built with Scott as a coach last year, because now I'm still training with him almost a year later. And I would call him a friend, which I think it's important, but he still holds me accountable. And I think that's so important in fitness. If you're going to work with somebody else, that there has to be accountability. I don't want a soft coach. I can't deal with it. I need someone who, want to go, oh yeah, I gained a pound this week. Like, he knows. He's like, cool. So how many days did you not follow what I told you to do? And you're like, damn.
Nice.
But it's important, because so many I've had PTs in my life that go, that's okay, there are ups and downs, next week you'll be fine. And then you go, oh, next week I'll be fine. You stop working as hard. So, but I lost like 20 pounds since last March, which is a lot, and like 13 centimeters off my waist, and I've kept it off. And I feel good, and I'm eating lots, which is great. And I'm eating things I like.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, okay, so what's like a typical day for you then? How often do you work out every weekend? Do you work out twice a day or 5 times?
Yeah. So, I mean, at the moment, especially, I'm furloughed at the moment. So I'm using fitness to give myself a regime. So I have like a morning, like core and glute warm up. Basically, it's like a small, like really quick circuit, like 15, 20 minutes, that's just working on glutes and core, because they're the things that I want to kind of sustain during this lockdown. Obviously, I'm not building anything. I have weights, but they're not enough to really make any huge difference. And then I'll do like a 25-minute HIIT somewhere else in the day. I'll get a walk in. I have a dog, so I have to walk every single day. And then if I've got time, then I'll do like a weights workout in the evening, which some people are like, wow, this is an insane amount of exercise, but actually nothing's longer than like 25 minutes.
Oh, that's all right then. Yeah.
So, but I'm just spacing it out in my day, and I've got a nice regime. Sometimes I'll, stick on a series on Netflix and do a glute weights workout whilst I watch TV. So it's nice. It's I'd say like an hour and a half of exercise a day, but you just go hard, and then you can chill the rest of the time.
No, man. Yeah, that's something. I mean, like obviously about our running club that we're doing. So yeah. I mean, do you still go running here and there then, or kind of keep your?
So I haven't. First week of the year, Scott just said to me, no long runs for the moment. I think it's because he was just trying to see how my body's reacting to different things.
Yeah.
Keeping on the shorter bursts. I'd gained a bit of weight over Christmas, so like my focus at the moment is like stripping a bit of fat. So at the moment I'm going more for like the like short like HIIT interval training.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm going to return to running. Hopefully I'll be making an appearance at the run club. But every time I keep seeing everyone's times getting lower and lower, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be at the back.
I'm always thinking, because sometimes you put your app thing. I'm like, oh, just come on down. But then I'm thinking the only reason why you don't come is probably because the Francis diet thing's probably saying, okay, cool, don't overwork your body, because you don't want to kind of get injured, or you don't want to kind of overburn yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like, I know you guys are like, you're running like 6 to 10K depending on the day and whatever it is. And right now I can see that maybe doesn't support the goals that I'm trying to achieve, because occasionally there's been run plans whilst I've worked with Scott. So it'd be like, for the next 3 weeks, I need you to do a run every day for 5 days. And it will be like, today 6 miles, tomorrow 5 miles, then 4 miles, then 3, then 1, then back up to 6, stuff like that. But at the moment there's no runs in it. It's all like short, fast bursts of exercise. But also I've got the fear you guys are really fast runners. So
but see, I think because the first week I went, I didn't really know the route, so I wasn't really trying to just blast or outrun everyone. If anyone understood the route, but okay, cool. So this is from the starting point to the gate all the way down, that's like 4K. All right, cool. If I run back down, that's going to be 8. Or if I go all the way around, that could be 10. You kind of just go at your own pace, because everyone's kind of got their own goals and all of that. So yeah, that's it. It's kind of more of an individual kind of thing. I hate to say it, but it's not a race. But at the same time, you're kind of like, it is, because you're racing yourself based on your previous time.
Yeah, you'll pick up, like, according to everyone else, I think I saw Jamal put up a question that was like, when you're running, do you slow down to someone's pace, or do they up to your pace? And I'm like, well, it's both, right? You'll naturally slow down a little to compensate for, say, me.
I do that.
And
there was when me and him and someone else was running. She was in between. She was the slowest. So like both me and Jamal were kind of just like, all right, cool. I'll push on ahead. You catch up to me, and then she will have to catch up. And then, hey, it worked because
it seriously worked.
Because in her mind, she's thinking, oh, snap, look, they're going to run away from me now. But we didn't, obviously, we're not going to leave her behind. We kind of just did that as in, come on now, pick it up, let's go.
My goal is that before everything reopens up, I have to come at least once.
Yeah, let's do it. I think, I don't want to be making predictions on the podcast, but I think everything will open up as soon as furlough ends.
Yeah, I think so too.
As soon as furlough ends, the virus will all of a sudden disappear, and then things are going to.
I was begging that it would be earlier than that because I have a holiday booked in March, but I think that's going to get postponed to next year. So that's
yeah. Okay, anywhere nice?
Really nice, Maldives.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, on that note, I will end this, and thank you. Well, if you guys want to find out Nadina, know what she's doing, if you want to holler at her for any events, I'm gonna leave her details at the bottom in the description. On obviously on YouTube, you can just scroll down, you can just see her details down there. Spotify, iTunes, you can still see all the right information there. All right, peace.
Thanks.